morning. Rick Carlisle didn't have to wait long for a new job, fellas. Listen to this. Tim McMahon reporting the Pacers are hiring Rick Carlisle as head coach. He will sign a 4-year deal, $29 million. Stephen A., what do you think about the Pacers picking up Carlisle?
Well, let me say this. I'm happy for him. I've known Rick Carlisle for many years. I think he's an exceptional coach. I do think it was time for a new voice in Dallas. I think he knew that, which is why he departed. My personal opinion, I haven't had an opportunity to speak to him yet, Molly, about this, to congratulate him, because him and his wonderful wife and his family, I know they love Indiana, and so that's great for him. But what I would tell you is that when I think about Rick Carlisle in Indiana, I actually had aspirations for him to end up in Milwaukee. I thought that if Budenholzer lost, that the perfect coach for Giannis and the Milwaukee Bucks would have been Rick Carlisle. That was my personal opinion. I look at the roster, even though I like Sabonis a lot, and you got Brogdon, who I'm a fan of, and Miles Turner, and now you got Karis LeVert. They got some legitimate pieces on Indiana that can make some noise. But championship caliber noise, I don't know if I see that. It remains to be seen. So what happened? When he coached them for 4 years, I think it was from 2003 to 2007, took them to the playoffs the first 3 years, the conference finals the first year, semifinals the second year, first round the third year, and then obviously they missed the playoffs the fourth year. So you were sliding this way, but that's neither here nor there. In the end, it's a nice location for him. I can understand why he would take that job. I certainly understand why they're hiring him. Because he obviously used to coach there before and knows the town, knows the fan base, knows what it means to them, the whole bit, and he was an assistant under Bird there as well. It's a great choice by the Indiana Pacers. I just like to see, my buddy in a better situation talent-wise in terms of having championship caliber players. I like Brogdon a lot. I like Sabonis and all of them. Whether or not they can legitimately compete for a championship is my question mark about them right now.
Yeah, mine too. And it's an interesting choice for Rick Carlisle, Stephen A., who would seem to have options. Not only with, you look at the work with Dallas, right? But I always think of that Pistons team in 2004 that Larry Brown took over, and then they got Rasheed Wallace. And I always thought of it as a Rick Carlisle team because he was getting close. He's an excellent coach. Probably the best coach in the history of, the Dallas Mavericks, right? Probably the best coach in franchise history, championship, and everything. And the Pacers are the kind of team where, you look at the draft lottery and you think to yourself, at least I was thinking yesterday, there's a team that really needs to get lucky in the draft lottery because they're well run enough, at least they're successful enough, where they're normally not picking up at the top of the class, so they're not getting these great prospects because they're not among the worst teams in basketball, but they're also not a free agent destination. It's not a warm weather city. It's not a major cosmopolitan destination. It's not a tax-free state where they're attracting top-notch free agents. So it's almost they're cursed by their own competence in a way. They're competitive and they're good enough to never be great. You would think Rick Carlisle would want a situation where there's potential greatness, but maybe he sees something in their near future that I don't.
Yeah, that's fair. Landed a job pretty quick. That's all I know, right?
But like I said, I know him on a personal level, so I'm really happy for him and his family because I know how much being in Indy meant to them. And, he and I go back a long, long ways, and I know how much they love that area and what have you.
That's
so
great.
I think it was just as personal as much as it was professional.
Yeah, great to hear. Glad it worked out. All right, 2 superstars return home. I don't know what was better, the dunk or Stephen A. and Wilbon's face. Props to whoever caught that on camera. Kawhi Leonard, guys, still sidelined. Chris Paul is probable. Game 3 in LA tonight. Suns up 2-0. They have won 9 straight playoff games. It's remarkable. Phoenix favored by 1. Max, do you have more confidence in the Suns or in the Clippers in Game 3 tonight now that it's in LA?
The answer is the Suns because Chris Paul's supposed to play and Kawhi's not? Well, the Suns just beat him twice, very close at home. I think on a neutral site, the Clippers could have won. I think at home, the Clippers could have won. That's without Chris Paul. But if you add Chris Paul, who, keep in mind, this is a first ballot Hall of Fame player, who has played at an exceptionally high level throughout his career in the regular season and in the playoffs. And Chris Paul is coming off the best series of his career. That's the best basketball he has ever played. Think about that. And he's never been to a finals. He is so thirsty right now, and he's had to be sidelined and watch this team, by the way, win by the skin of their teeth, and he has to be thinking, this team needs me. This is as motivated as can be, all-time great, peaking, joining a team that has won 9 straight playoff games. I'm more confident in the Suns.
Not tonight. Tonight, I'm more confident in the Clippers. I think their backs are against the wall. I think if they lose Game 3, they get swept. And I don't see that happening. These games have been close. They have not had Kawhi Leonard. Obviously, that's an incredible adjustment for them. Everybody's anticipating an upgrade from CP3. He will play tonight. He will be ready. But I think that when you look at the Los Angeles Clippers, listen, Paul George missed those 2 free throws with 8.2 seconds left. No doubt about it. But he was balling up until that point. I mean, he went on his own personal 8-2 run. He ended up with 26 for the game. The previous 4 games, he scored over 30, and he's been playing lights out. Reggie Jackson, I can't say enough about him. He only had 19 the other day on 7 of 15 shooting. He's going to be the difference because I think he needs to shoot more. Reggie Jackson needs to shoot more and get aggressive. With Kawhi Leonard being out, he needs to shoot more. Terrence Mann, that kid, the second-year player out of Florida State that dropped 39 in Game 6 to close out Utah. I think that that's a guy that needs more playing time in this series. I think Ty Lue recognizes that, and I think you'll see more Terrence Mann tonight, and I think that you'll see the Clippers feeding off of this crowd. Max, last week, I've never seen the crowd at a Clippers game like that in my life. I've never seen it, ever. Okay? And so it's a different ball game right now. They recognize what's at stake. And to me, to say that the Clippers are going to lose tonight and that's more confident in the Suns is basically saying that the Clippers are going to get swept. It's possible. I'm not dismissing your point because it's a very good one because CP3 is going to be ready. Make no mistake. And the Suns have been balling. We understand that. And I don't think Devin Booker's going to have a game like he had in Game 2. It's going to be closer to Game 1. But I still find myself looking at the Los Angeles Clippers right now. They're not the Utah Jazz. They don't just have one player that can create his own shot and everybody else dependent on him to create something for them. They got multitude of dudes who can create their own shot. And Reggie Jackson is the first name that comes to my mind outside of Paul George. And I think that, along with, with Terrence Mann being out there a lot, I think that the Clippers survive. And they push it to Game 4, threatening to even up this series. Because if they lose tonight, they're getting swept.
Well, look, Mike Conley wasn't available. The reason they only had one dude is injury has basically decided these entire playoffs. Yeah. And if Kawhi was playing, I would not say this is it for the Clippers. But I do think it's it for the Clippers. I think this is it for the Clippers. Now, can they win this game? Stephen A., it's possible that the Clippers can steal a game here, even without Kawhi. They are at home. It was close before. And Chris Paul is coming back. But then that affects the rotation and all those things. Maybe they could get a game. And if they got a game and Kawhi came back for a Game 4, I'm not saying the series is even over, right? But I'm not hearing great things about Kawhi's knee. Are you? No one's telling me, everyone's optimistic. Kawhi's
coming back. Can you stop right there? Can you
stop
right there?
Yeah.
Max, as an aside, based on the point you just made, does it not bother you? Because it bothers me that we're not hearing more about Kawhi Leonard. It's like game to game. I mean, listen, did he tear his ACL? What's the status?
It sounds like something.
The fact that it's allowed to go game to game. I mean, Kawhi Leonard might not be back until next season.
Right.
I think everybody has a right to know that.
I
think everybody has a right to know that. And this game to game stuff where, all right, he's listed as this. It's almost like they're trying to hide it for the Suns so you can compromise their preparation.
It does have that feeling.
Because you never know. I don't like that.
By the way, it does have that feeling, but Stephen A., that's demoralizing for the Clippers more than anything. If they had Kawhi, they'd still have a chance. They have Ty Lue. This is the comeback specialist coach who makes adjustments and all that. He's not going to be able to overcome a Suns team. Like, you give the Suns a little advantage. They had it against the Lakers because of injury, right? I thought the Suns would be a powerhouse this year, but DeAndre Ayton be a little green, right? Not quite their time. Maybe next year. What happens? AD is hurt and then out. LeBron is compromised. They beat the Lakers. They're down 2-1. They come back and win all the rest of the games. They face a Denver team without Jamal Murray, and they take care of them in quick fashion, sweep them. And now they're facing a team without their best player. And what do the Suns have? What have they done in these playoffs when injury affects the other team? They crush them. When you say if they win Game 3, they sweep, I think there's a very good chance the Suns sweep this series.
Well, both games have been very, very tight. And I'm here to tell you something right now. Reggie Jackson can play.
Sure can.
That brother can play. And he can create his own shot. And Patrick Beverly, you know how much I love Patrick Beverly. He's hitting open shots when they give it to him. Open threes. He's hitting them, so they can't leave him open. Marcus Morris, it's like a roller coaster because he might not do so much offensively one game, but then another game he'll drop over 20. The dude can play.
They shoot the ball very well.
DeMarcus Cousins. Let me tell you something about DeMarcus Cousins. When he gets in the game, he has an impact. And we keep forgetting that this is a brother that before he got injured was averaging 28 a game in the NBA. I mean, listen, to tell me they can't win a game at home. And I know you're not saying that. I know you're not saying that. I know you're not saying that. I'm not saying it either. To me, the bigger question is, can we imagine them getting swept?
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't see the Clippers getting swept.
Chris Paul
and that's
is so
where I'm at
thirsty
with
right now.
That's where I'm at with
Game 3 is pivotal for that factor. So Stephen A. thinks the Clippers get it done. He'll be in the building for that. And Max saying injuries deciding everything, and Chris Paul will be back. No Kawhi. So that tips the scales. When we come back.